Sometimes the best stories in football aren't written on Sundays. They're forged in hospital rooms, rehabilitation centers, and through sheer determination that most of us can't even comprehend. And right now, there's a name gaining serious traction in Detroit scouting circles that embodies exactly that kind of warrior mentality. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your trusted source for the latest updates, insider analysis, and breaking rumors about our beloved Detroit Lions. I'm here to bring you exclusive insights that matter to us as fans who bleed Honolulu blue and silver. Today, I'm diving into a prospect story that perfectly aligns with everything Brad Holmes and this organization value. And trust me, you're going to want to hear every detail of this one. Before we get into the heart of this story, let me set the stage for where we are right now. The Lions are building something special, something sustainable. We're not just winning games anymore. We're establishing a culture, an identity that resonates throughout the entire organization. And a massive part of that identity comes down to the trenches. Our offensive line has been the backbone of everything we've accomplished, opening lanes for our explosive running game and giving Jared Goff the time he needs to dissect defenses. But here's the reality. Building depth along that offensive line isn't just important. It's absolutely critical if we want to sustain this success for years to come. Now, I need you to understand something about how Brad Holmes operates. This isn't a general manager who chases big names or gets caught up in the hype machine. Holmes looks for specific traits, specific characteristics that fit the Lions' DNA. He wants players with grit, with resilience, with that chip on their shoulder that drives them to prove everyone wrong. He wants competitors who understand what it means to battle through adversity. And when I tell you about the player I'm focusing on today, you'll immediately understand why Detroit's scouting department has their eyes locked on. Let me take you back to 2023 for a moment. Picture this, a promising young offensive lineman, working his way up through the college ranks, showing all the tools that NFL scouts drool over. Then, in an instant, everything changes. A car crash. Not just any accident, but one so severe that doctors are discussing the possibility of amputation. We're talking about a young man who nearly lost part of his foot, whose entire football future hung in the balance. Most people would have walked away. Most people would have accepted that their dreams were over. But this player isn't most people. The road back from that kind of injury isn't just physical. It's mental warfare. Every step, every workout, every practice becomes a test of will. The pain doesn't just go away because you want it to. The doubt creeps in during those late-night moments when nobody's watching. But here's where champions separate themselves from everyone else. They keep pushing when every logical reason tells them to quit. They find that extra gear that most of us don't even know exists. And that's exactly what happened here. Fast forward to this season. And we're watching a player who has not only returned to the field, but is thriving at the highest level of college football. We're talking about a guard who has earned recognition as a semifinalist for the Lombardi Award, one of the most prestigious honors in college football. We're talking about someone who Pro Football Focus has graded as a top 20 guard in the entire country. This isn't a feel-good story about someone just being happy to play again. This is a story about a dominant force who refused to let tragedy define his career, Kalin Rutled. Remember that name, Lions fans, because it's one you might be hearing a lot more of come draft season. The Georgia Tech right guard has put together a season that has scouts from across the NFL making trips to Atlanta to see him in person. And when you watch his tape, you see exactly why Detroit would be interested. You see a physical presence who embraces contact, who finishes blocks, who plays with that nasty edge that great offensive linemen possess. You see someone who understands leverage, who uses his hands effectively, and who competes on every single snap. Now, let me be completely transparent with you about Rutledge's game, because that's what we do here. We don't sugarcoat things. We give you the real analysis. The primary concern that scouts have identified is inconsistent footwork at the pad level. Sometimes his feet get a little heavy. Sometimes his base gets compromised when he's engaging at the second level. These are coachable issues, technical refinements that can be addressed with proper coaching and repetition. But they're also legitimate concerns that will factor into his draft. Evaluation. Here's where it gets really interesting from a Lions perspective. Rutledge plays right guard for Georgia Tech, the exact same position that we invested a second-round pick in earlier this year with Kevin Zeitler's successor in mind. Wait, you might be thinking, Why would we draft another right guard when we just used a premium pick on the position? And that's a fair question that deserves a thoughtful answer. Depth, competition, insurance, future planning. These aren't just buzzwords. They're the pillars of sustainable success in the NFL. Look at what happened when we lost key pieces along our offensive line in previous seasons. The entire offense struggled. The running game stalled. Goff was under constant pressure. You cannot have enough quality offensive linemen in this league, especially when you're built around running the football and controlling the line of scrimmage like we are. Rutledge is currently projected as an early Day 3 selection, which means we're likely looking at the 4th or 5th round range. That's tremendous value for a player with his upside, his character, and his proven ability to overcome adversity. This is exactly the type of pick that Brad Holmes has excelled at making. Remember, this is the same front office that found Penei Sewell, that developed Jonah Jackson into a quality starter, that continues to find gems in the middle rounds who contribute immediately. But there's another layer to this story that I think is really important to discuss. Georgia Tech plays in the ACC, which means Rutledge is facing quality competition week in and week out. He's not dominating inferior opponents. He's holding his own against future NFL players. He's been tested by different defensive schemes, different pass rush techniques, different levels of athleticism. That kind of experience is invaluable when projecting how a player will transition to the professional level. The Yellow Jackets are also playing meaningful football right now, competing for a playoff berth in a season where every game matters. That means Rutledge is performing under pressure in high-stakes situations where mistakes are magnified. He's not padding stats in garbage time or against overmatched opponents. He's proving himself when it matters most, which is exactly what you want to see from a potential draft pick. Let me paint a picture of what Rutledge could mean for the Lions moving forward. Imagine drafting him in the 4th round, bringing him in to compete and learn behind our established starters. He spends his rookie season on the practice squad or as a backup, learning the system, working with our offensive line coach, continuing to refine those technical aspects of his game. Then, as veterans move on or injuries occur, he's ready to step in and contribute. That's how you build sustainable depth. That's how you maintain your competitive window for years, instead of just a season or two. There's also something to be said about the type of person Rutledge is. Anyone who battles back from nearly losing part of their foot to playing at an elite level in college football has the kind of mental toughness that you simply cannot teach. That's the kind of player who will do whatever it takes to help his team win. That's the kind of player who embraces the grind of an NFL season, who doesn't make excuses when things get tough, who leads by example in the meeting room and on the practice field. Brad Holmes has talked repeatedly about the importance of character and culture fit when evaluating prospects. He wants players who align with what Dan Campbell is building here in Detroit. He wants guys who will run through a wall for their teammates, who understand what it means to be part of something bigger than themselves. Rutledge's story, his journey back from that devastating injury, tells you everything you need to know about his character. This is someone who embodies the grit that this organization values so highly. Now, I want to address something that I know some of you are thinking. With all the other positions we could address in the draft, why focus on offensive line depth? The answer is simple. Championship teams are built from the inside out. Look at every Super Bowl winner over the last decade, and you'll find dominant offensive and defensive lines. You'll find teams that can impose their will in the 4th quarter, that can run the ball when everyone knows it's coming, that can protect their quarterback when the game is on the line. That's the foundation of sustainable success in this league. The Lions are in a unique position right now. We have a legitimate Super Bowl window, but we also need to be thinking about the future. We can't just go all in on veterans and hope everything works out. We need to continue developing young talent, continue building depth, continue planning for 3 or 4 years down the road. Drafting someone like Rutledge allows us to do both. Add a player who could contribute in a pinch this year while also investing in our future. Let me also mention that Rutledge's versatility could be a major asset. While he plays right guard at Georgia Tech, many scouts believe he has the athleticism and skill set to potentially play center or left guard at the next level. That kind of flexibility is gold in the NFL, where injuries happen and you need players who can step into multiple roles. Having a backup who can play 3 positions instead of 1 dramatically increases his value to the roster. As we look ahead to the draft, There are going to be a lot of names thrown around, a lot of mock drafts, a lot of speculation about who the Lions should target. But I'm telling you right now, keep Kalin Rutled on your radar. This is exactly the type of player that fits what Detroit is building. This is exactly the type of story that resonates with our fan base. And this is exactly the type of value pick that could pay dividends for years to come. So here's what I want to know from you, Lions faithful. Do you think Brad Holmes should target Rutledge in the middle rounds? Does his story of overcoming that devastating injury make him even more appealing as a prospect? And where do you rank offensive line depth as a priority heading into the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I read every single one and I love hearing different perspectives from this incredible fan base. If you found value in this breakdown, if you appreciate the in-depth analysis and insider perspective we bring here at Lions News Fan Report, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, because I'm constantly bringing you the latest news, the most detailed prospect evaluations, and the analysis that matters most to us as Lions fans. We're building something special here, just like our team is building something special on the field. Until next time, one pride, and let's keep roaring toward that championship we've been waiting for.